Honestly, if I can be just so frank about it, just let it be overwhelming. Maybe it still derails us a little bit, but it's not as scary as it would have been if we hadn't been making those baby steps towards it to begin. So for my people pleasers, when you're creating balance, one thing that I would consider or ask you to consider is to include yourself in the people pleasing. So people pleasing comes from a place wanting to feel acceptance, right? Now, for my perfectionist, and listen, this is gonna sound crazy, and so I'm gonna share this tip with like a caveat. Okay, I'm gonna share it with a caveat.
Welcome to the Just Separated podcast. Hi, I'm Karen Oman, a thanatologist, grief counselor, divorce strategist, and co-author of the Just Separated workbook. I draw on years of personal and professional experience to guide you through the challenges of your divorce. Together, with our expert guests, we'll equip you with the clarity, resilience, and tools to take charge and move forward with confidence. Follow Just Separated and join us as we explore the many different facets of divorce. Hi, welcome to the Just Separate podcast. I'm your host, Karen Oman, co-founder of the Divorce Workshop. Today we're going to talk about how creating balance in divorce, and our expert guest today is Amy Capello. Amy is an award-winning coach, author, and speaker. Her mission is to guide people in reducing chaos and creating balance through her unique whole life balance system, which goes beyond the traditional work-life balance approach. Her dedication to service and expertise in life balance makes her a trusted coach, advocate, and change maker. Welcome to the Just Separate podcast, Amy.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me today.
So when I thought about this topic, and with divorce, it doesn't really go hand in hand, right? Because in divorce, you're kind of in a chaos survival mode, right?
Absolutely.
So why do you think it's important for those who are listening to try to get some type of balance when they're going through this type of challenging time?
Yeah, I feel like balance is something that for a long time, for probably decades, we have approached it as something that we need to find, right? As if it's like this golden nugget that's hidden in a treasure box and X marks the spot. And if we can just do all the right things, we'll be able to find it. And the truth is that balance is something that we create. We have some control over the things that happen in our life. Some things we don't, of course, but some things we do. And it's important through all stages of our life that we are mindful and intentional about what decisions we need to make and what things we do have control in so that we can create that balance. It might look a little bit different when we're going through situations like divorce, but what can we do to intentionally create whatever balance it is that we're able to have during that time?
So really what I'm hearing you saying then, it's creating rather than thinking it just all happens. Like you have to work on this?
Yes, it takes intentional decisions. It takes awareness, and it's just not some magic wands that we're suddenly gonna like snap our fingers, right, and have balance. Like all of a sudden, all the stars align, and everything's exactly the way I wanted it to be. When we see balance in others, or when we see balance on our schedules, or when we see balance, in our lives, or a feeling that we're having a balance, it's not something that just magically happened. We didn't just go to bed one night and wake up the next morning and there it was. We didn't, just magically stumble across it, right? It was a decision where it was like, okay, I'm absolutely freaking exhausted, and tonight my bedtime needs to be 7 instead of midnight, right? And so I'm going to go to bed and I'm going to create that situation that's going to bring me balance and create balance for me. What are those things that I need to do so that I can have it, right?
So I was thinking when you were saying that is like, so what about the people pleasers? And the perfectionist? And when you're going through, yes, when I know I'm a people pleaser, and when you're going through a divorce, you're trying to, especially with your children, and you've got so much going on, and you're trying to still be that people pleaser or the perfectionist type of personality. You can tell me other personalities you work with that kind of make it even harder, right? To make balance, because everything has to either be perfect, or you're trying to people please even with your ex, and you're still doing, So is there any other, like, you see those type of people come to you?
Oh my gosh. Yes. I am those people. I'm not a people pleaser. I've never really been a people pleaser, but perfectionist is me. And I work with a lot of people pleasers and a lot of high achieving perfectionists, right? Like, it's so funny because I feel like, especially as women, we often have the mindset that we need to do it all. And I feel like we have the mindset that we need to do it all because we can do it all. And so if we can do it all, why are we not doing it all, right? So if it's in our capabilities, come hell or high water, then we just need to create that and we need to make that happen. That's the mindset, right? If I can, I should. And should is an absolute dirty word in my book. I cannot stand I should. I should be doing this. I should make time for that. I should say no to this. I should make sure that that happens exactly that way. I should make sure I'm the one doing it because I do it better, or I should do it because I don't want to put it on someone else's shoulders, right? That people pleasing. I feel like people pleasing and perfectionism are really easy to go hand in hand. But those both of those personality traits, there's nothing wrong with them. I just want to start there. Like there's nothing wrong with being a people pleaser, and there's nothing wrong with being a perfectionist. If we can just acknowledge that that is what it is, and you're not a bad person if you are that way. You're not a bad person for showing up in life that way. In fact, it comes from a really good place, right? You care about others. That's what that's telling me. That other people's experiences with you matter to you, and that's an amazing trait to have. And my perfectionists in the world, you have high expectations. You have a high standard for yourself and others, right? And so oftentimes with my perfectionists, and we'll deal with these separately, but oftentimes with perfectionists, you do have those expectations of others. And so it's only fair that you have it of yourself, right? You want other people to be doing this well. And so for you to expect it of others, you automatically feel like you have to expect it of yourself, because how can you expect anything less of self when you do want others to show up that way as well? And that's okay. Our perfectionists are the ones that keep us in line. They're the ones that keep us producing high quality work. They're the ones that keep us reaching our goals, right? The problem with both of those personality traits are when it goes to an extreme, right? So in moderation, when you're functioning well, there's nothing wrong with either one of those. They're great things to have. So let's start with our people pleasers. So people pleasing comes from a place of wanting to feel acceptance, right? And I'm not a psychologist. I'm not, a therapist, or and I'm not licensed in any of those things. But what I see in my clients that are people pleasers are they just want to feel accepted. That their work was good enough, that how they showed up was the right way, that they made someone else's life a little bit better, and in turn, they feel better about how they showed up, right? And so when you're going through a divorce situation, this is a really difficult time for people pleasers, because no matter what, there's going to be a space where people are disappointed in you. And that's hard. That's hard. Someone's not going to be happy with you. It doesn't matter what you do. Like literally, you could show up exactly how they tell you to show up, and there's still going to be a way that you fell short, right? It might be your ex, it might be the lawyer, it might be your boss, your coworker, your kids, your parents, right? Like you have no idea how there's going to be someone that's disappointed in you. And how do you create balance when you are a people pleaser and people are disappointed in you, right? So for my people pleasers, when you're creating balance, one thing that I would consider or ask you to consider is to include yourself in the people pleasing. Maybe you can't stop people pleasing everybody. Maybe that's something that's just inherent and you need a coach or somebody, a therapist even, to walk you through that and hold you accountable. But if you can just do the one simple thing and add yourself to the list, how can you please you too? Maybe you can't undo all the other stuff. You can't, just make it go away. But how can you add yourself too? What can I do today that would please me?
It's powerful.
right? And maybe that can be a little bit of balance that you can add in. Maybe pleasing me today means that I make sure I eat lunch. Maybe pleasing me today means I tell that person no. Maybe pleasing me today means I take a break. Maybe it means I go ahead and schedule time to read that book I've been putting off because life just got chaos, right? It doesn't have to be grand. Like creating balance is done in those small decisions. Whether you're a people pleaser or not, creating balance happens in small decisions. So with those people pleasers, how can you please you too? Just add yourself to the rotation, right? If you really want to go big with it, make yourself first on the list. That may be too much, but like if you're feeling bold, and I'm all for bold and big, make that the first one, right? We'll do a little push, a little challenge activity in that too, and make yourself the first one on the list. Now, for my perfectionist, and listen, this is gonna sound crazy, and so I'm gonna share this tip with like a caveat. Okay, I'm gonna share it with a caveat. I'm actually doing this with one of my clients right now, and she and I met last week. And her call from the previous week, I'd given her a challenge to intentionally. This is crazy. I'm even like, as a perfectionist myself, I'm cringing a little here, so I'm gonna like be patient with myself too. But to intentionally make a mistake. What? To intentionally make a mistake. Now, here's my caveat with that. Here's my caveat. Don't make it a high stakes mistake. Okay, don't make it a high stakes mistake. So with her, I was like, I don't need you to go to work and like make a giant screw up where you're gonna get like fired from your job. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. Okay. But my client is in a band, and I said, why don't at your next practice in your band start on the wrong chord? Right? Make it easy, make it achievable, make it a low hanging fruit, but just like and just start on the wrong chord and be like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. That was the wrong chord, and then get yourself back on track. Just something small, something quick, something easy. You can call yourself out for it. You don't even need to let other people call you out for it. You can call yourself out. I'm so sorry I got your name wrong. I am so sorry. I thought we met at 10 o'clock today and it's 11. My bad. It still shows up at 11, But just text them that you got the time wrong. But find a way to make a mistake. So there's a sales coach that I work with, and she talks about risk tolerance, right? When you're a business owner. I don't have risk tolerance. I'm very risk averse. I don't like it. I want to avoid risk and making mistakes, right? So in this way, you can become mistake intolerant, right? We want to make you mistake tolerant as a perfectionist. We want to make you mistake tolerant. So how can you create the mistake? As a perfectionist making mistakes, what you learn is the world didn't end. Life continued to go on. People didn't hate you. The wheels didn't fall off the car. It was okay. So my client, when we met last week, I was like, how did it go? She was like, I started on the wrong chord. I was like, cool. What did you do? She goes, I acknowledged the mistake. And I said, how did everybody else feel? They were like, oh, okay, no worries. We'll just start again.
It's kind of like
Life was
exposure
okay.
therapy, really, right? Like
Yes.
yeah, I'm thinking
Yeah.
about that CBT, right? And it's like exposure
Mm-hmm.
therapy, and then realizing when they make the mistake, they scan the room or whatever, and they're like,
Yeah.
they should really. It's a practice, right? Like it could
Yes.
be almost
Yes.
implemented weekly, right?
Yep.
One
Exactly.
day a week,
Exactly.
once a week, you have to make a small mistake, and then, as you
Make it
said, you
something
become
else.
more
Yeah.
tolerant.
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly. Exactly. And it helps reframe our brains, right? Our brains get rewired. The more mistakes that we make where we see we're not less of a person, we're still great, we're still amazing, we're still badasses, we're still showing up well. No one else was disappointed with us, or if they were, it was okay. And we build that over time, right? So I described to my client it's kind of like a muscle. You can't go into the gym and lift 250 pounds on day one, but you can lift 5 pounds, right? So this little mistake. And then, because here's what will happen, right? As a perfectionist, we like to, we're hyper vigilant. We want to avoid at all costs, right? Doing anything less than perfect. And so when something does fall through the cracks, man, oh man, it is just, it's the end of the world. And we play it on replay 100,000 times. We feel like we're not good enough. We might as well just give up, right? So if we're lifting that 5 pounds and then that 10 pounds and then that 15 pounds of mistakes, baby manageable mistakes over time, when we do come in front of the 250 pounds, maybe we can lift it. Maybe it'll be okay. Or maybe it doesn't feel as big. Maybe we still can't lift it. Maybe it still derails us a little bit, but it's not as scary as it would have been if we hadn't been making those baby steps towards it to begin with, right? So with my perfectionists, I think that's one of the best things we can do to create balance is intentionally let a few balls drop. Let it go. Intentionally make a mistake. Learn that we're not going to be perfect all the time. It teaches our brains that, and then we can create the balance around that. And we learn that it's going to be okay.
So there's really two things, and I want to just mention them again. So people pleasers put themselves on the list. That's a start. Especially when you're going through a divorce, put yourself on that list somewhere. Exactly. And then the second one is make a mistake, minor, but do it and see how it feels. I also want to mention, for me, I would also make it a practice.
Yeah. I believe there's a lot of power in building that over time. And, if you get to the point where like this feels like, you have to forgive me, my son is a pre-tween, and so I'm adopting a lot of phrases in his vernacular that are not mine. But when I give him something to do and he's like, oh, that's easy, what his phrase is, light work, no reaction. So when it becomes light work, no reaction, then we move up a little bit, right? But building that up and making that a practice where you can make these mistakes and it's okay. Build that.
Yeah, because when you're going through divorce and stuff, to try to be perfect and to try to be a people pleaser, that's if you were exhausted before,
yeah,
you're just going to be even more exhausted, right?
Exactly.
Like, I don't know if you agree, but I've been there, and it's like you're so overwhelmed because you're trying to handle it all. I wanted to talk to you also about do people get too busy? Like, is that another thing that people do? Like, they're so busy, or they make themselves so busy.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've worked with that. Like, so I'm talking about it with balance, because I've had people where it's like, I'm busy as soon as I wake up, and I'm busy till till I hit my sheets at bedtime. So I don't know if that comes up with some of your clients.
It does. It absolutely does. And, I approach time management in a different way than most people. Busy, not always, but busy can be, and sometimes is, just a distraction, right? We don't want to sit in the feelings. We don't want to sit in the reality of it. And so if I can clear my email inbox, if I can meal prep, if I can, vacuum the carpet for the third time this week, it keeps me from sitting in the situation or sitting in the feelings. And whatever, I mean, we have coping mechanisms, and those are not a bad thing, right? If it gets taken too far, again, it can be, and that's where, a therapist or whatever is a great person to hold you accountable for when you're getting into that place. I just celebrated, I don't know if you saw my Substack, but I just celebrated my 10-year divorce anniversary on May 7th. So yay. I now have been divorced longer than I was married. But I remember as a type A perfectionist myself, when I was living with my ex-husband and when we were married, it was this constant like cleaning behind him and doing behind him, and also planning, because there were no real responsibilities that he was holding in the marriage, and so that all I felt like fell on me. I remember when he moved out, I remember sitting on the couch. I put my son to bed. He was less than 2 years old, right? So I had a less than 2-year-old, single mom, and I just sat down and I was like, I don't have anything to do. Because the messes were mine to clean up, and my son's. There was no extra work of trying to save the marriage and fix the marriage, have another conversation, clean up behind him, do his laundry. And there was this moment of do I need to create something to do? Because that was my norm. That's what I was used to, right? And I had to coach myself through, it's okay just to sit here. It's okay just to be, to read a book or to scroll social media or to binge watch a show on Netflix. Like, it was okay to not keep myself busy because I had the freedom to do that. Now that the marriage was over, I didn't need to try and save it anymore, and I certainly didn't need to do the things that he had left for me to do. I could just exist as a person. But it's a weird place to be. It's a strange place to be. You have to coach yourself through it because it's not oftentimes a norm. And the pull, the draw is to create then something to fill that gap, right? But that's not necessarily where your new balance is going to live post-divorce or even going through a divorce. That may be where you can create that balance. Put yourself on the list. Let the mistakes happen. Let the things fall. Maybe the dishes don't get washed because you're the only person now and it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah, it's a huge learning curve, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
And plus for me, doing the counseling I do is the distraction part. Keeping distracted all the time is you're never leaning into the pain that you may be feeling,
Right,
or you might
right.
be avoiding, and we can avoid for a while,
Yeah,
but it will come out in other ways, right?
exactly,
So we have to be
exactly.
mindful of that. So I want to ask you before we wrap up too
Mm-hmm.
is I was listening to a podcast with Michelle Obama, and
Mm-hmm.
she was talking about having her whole body say no,
Mm-hmm.
right? It was a powerful
Yeah,
statement.
yeah.
So I want to ask you that because in creating balance, one of the things
Mm-hmm.
you have to learn, we all know about boundaries, but we
Yes,
have to
yes,
learn to
yes.
say no. And we don't always have to justify why we say no. So I
Oh my
want to
God.
get your thoughts, being that this is what you
Yeah.
do, uh,
Mm-hmm.
what your thoughts
Mm-hmm.
about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I have an annual master class. We actually just did it back in April on called Just Say No. It's on learning how to say no because there's so much power in that. And God, I love Michelle Obama. She's the best. And my therapist taught me years ago that no is a complete sentence. Like, she taught me that probably when I was going through my divorce, to be honest with you, that no is a complete sentence. And we do feel like we have to qualify our no. We do feel like we have to justify our no, and we don't. We really don't. Again, this is a place where I feel like you can start with the low hanging fruit. Start with the things that are not high stakes. So, at the grocery store, would you like to round up your purchase? No. Like, even that might cause a lot of stress in some people, and that's okay. But that might be a good, easy place to start practicing it and not having it. One other way that I love to practice no is through text. So let's say you text me and you're like, hey, Amy, do you want to hang out? And I just like don't have the capacity for it and I really want to say no. I'll type out everything. Oh my gosh, I would love to. Let me check my calendar. Let me see if I can. I'm not really sure. It's been a busy week. I'm really tired and I do need to, get my son ready for school this week. He had a homework assignment that was really exhausting and I haven't gotten my email inbox caught up with yet with my clients and I need to make sure that happens. But maybe I can see if I can squeeze it in. I'll just type it all out. I'll just get it all out and then I'll delete it all. And I'll say, no, but thank you so much for thinking of me.
Oh, it's a great tip, Amy.
Right? And just use that as my practice. But it still allows me to get it out so I feel better. But I know up here in my head that I don't have to say all those things, even though my heart and my training want me to, and I can retrain to be. I also, I'm going to share something I heard the other day from someone where he said, lead with the no. So I didn't create this. I heard this from someone else, but he said, lead with the no. What we usually do is we lead with the gratitude and then say the no. But what happens is anytime we use the word but, we negate everything that came before it. I learned that years ago. So if I say, oh my gosh, you're so amazing, but I want you to fix this, all the people hear is that they weren't amazing. It negates that part, right? So when you're saying no, if you lead with a no, no, I can't make it, but thank you for thinking of me, and end with the gratitude, it makes it received much better, right? So that's one way that can help with the delivery, so that you know that it's being received the way you intended instead of in a harsh manner. Just a
I
little
like
tip of
that. I
advice
also
for
want
someone else.
I want to put my 2 cents in there too.
Yeah.
Is don't use just in your sentences
Yeah.
and like.
Mhm.
Just and
Mhm.
like. So
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
actually wrote them on a piece of paper
I
and
love
I
that.
put it on my computer. So when I was responding to people, it wasn't like an excuse or, well, just
Right.
because, or like I
Yeah.
wanted to, but like I
Mhm.
couldn't.
Mhm. Mhm.
And it,
Mhm.
so you don't have to be nasty when when
Yeah.
you message back. It's just that you don't,
Yeah.
it's all with what your language is. So I love what you're
Exactly.
saying.
Exactly. Yeah. It matters.
So, before we wrap up, do you have any other things you want to mention to the listeners before I ask you our last question?
Yeah, absolutely. I just, as you go through a lot of difficult things, divorce being one of them, it can feel like life is just out of balance. But life will always have things that it's going to throw at you that will create an imbalance. So just remember that it's within your ability to create it on your own, and that's something that you do have control over. So use that muscle, create that balance where you can, and know that the more you do it, the next time life throws you a curveball, the better you'll be ready for
Awesome. So this is almost kind of the same question, but for someone
it.
who's just separated, were they
Mhm.
left or were left, what advice would you give them to help them navigate those overwhelming early days? And you and I have both been
Mhm.
there. So what is your
Mhm.
thoughts on that?
Honestly, if I can be just so frank about it, just let it be overwhelming. Just let it be. Don't try to fight it. Don't try to make it something it's not. Don't try to put glitter on a pile of poo. Sometimes it's just a pile of poo. And we just have to let it be the pile of poo and get through those feelings. Being self aware with where you are and not feeling bad about it. If right now I just feel like I can't even go wash the clothes, then I just can't go wash the clothes. And just let it be what it is. That's the balance, is in acknowledging the self awareness and letting it be. And as soon as you can get yourself through it with help from others, be that a friend or a professional, then you can start making some of those changes. But in those early days of overwhelm, it just is what it is, and you're not doing anything wrong to just let
Yeah, that's perfect. So, Amy, I know why you're an award-winning coach. This was
it
awesome. Awesome,
be. Thank
awesome.
you.
I know
Thank
you
you.
have a great book and I know you have programs if
Yes,
you want to tell people
yes.
about it.
Absolutely, 100%. So I have a book. It's available on Amazon. It's called Badass Balance, all one word, Badass Balance. It's under my name, and it is an amazing book that walks you through it's two parts. One, how to be balanced. One, how to be a badass. And I've got a lot of incredible resources as well, including a link to a document, a Google Sheets, where you can get your life together and get everything fixed. Please do keep in touch with me. If you'd like to join my VIP Balance Collective, it's where I offer free coaching, master classes, strategies, tips. It's an amazing place to be. I also give out prizes and give free coaching there as well. So you can join by going to purejoylifecoaching slash or purejoylifecoaching.com /email, and the link to sign up is there. I'd be happy to have you over in my VIP group, and we can do all the things balanced.
Yeah, it was wonderful to have you on, Amy. As usual,
Thank
you are a
you.
gem in this world,
Thank
and
you.
I
That's
really
very, very
appreciate that
sweet.
you spread this. As again, I love all my guests that come on because I learn from them as well. So, thank you, Amy, for coming on.
Thank you, Karen. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for joining today's discussion with our divorce expert. Check out the show notes for more about our guest. If you're finding value in our podcast, follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and our YouTube channel at Divorce Workshop. Share your questions, comments, or guest suggestions. We'd love to hear from you. For a comprehensive divorce guide, check out our Just Separated workbook on Amazon worldwide. This workbook covers everything from emotions and co-parenting to finances, legal insights, and recovery. A must-have for anyone navigating separation or divorce.